don't think it shoots. I forgot to record, like, for some reason it didn't start automatically. Sorry about that. Got all these notes to make sure things work right.
Do you have any idea when we're going to be able to have class again?
No.
Because I need you to tell me to stop overworking.
Stop overworking.
They don't have any idea about that?
Well, let's see. Let me, can you hold it up?
Oh, my painting?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. No judgment.
It won't be till after the election.
That's right.
I think you're all right still.
Do you like this nice big, where is it? This big old bloom right here?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I think that lowest orange kind of half, quarter circle thing in the lowest part of your trees there.
This?
Right in the middle of the upper trees.
This?
No, it's red. It's like an orangey red.
This?
That's the one. That is a really weird shape. It's really round. You can't see what I'm doing. It's really round. So I think just by I should have taken a screenshot. That's
okay.
Okay, well, it's really round, and I think if you were to break up some of those edges, just
okay. And the green I put in, where's my, right through here.
Mm-hmm.
This green.
That looks good.
Is it okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been overworking this whole thing. I mean, I've been lifting, painting, drying, lifting, painting, drying, or whatever.
All right. I should have also. Now that's all right. I'll send to you. Where did that go? also going to send you guys. Where is his? I'm also going to send you Tom Lynch's YouTube channel. He is also another one of my favorite watercolor artists. And I think you'll get, I don't know how many, he's got, what, like, not quite 20 videos on his. So, anyway, it's a,
Thank you.
they're, yeah, they're good. They're both really good teachers.
Where do we find those?
On YouTube.
But where did you send the links?
Oh, to your emails.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you'll have those in your email. Okie doke. Has everybody had a good caught up?
Ready.
All right. Well, I have to apologize. I don't think I was recording that bit. When I got on my college email, it said that apparently when I had to log off and log back in, even though I made Kathy the host for a little bit, it stopped the recording. And when I logged back in, it never started back up again. So I'm just going to continue kind of some of this stuff. I can already tell some of this is going to bug me, but I can come in and just soften some of it later where I feel like I need to. And if I can't, I can always make it a wee bit darker on top of that. But I too want to make sure that I don't overwork it. So I'm going to try to ignore anything that I don't like going on over here. And just concentrate on adding some more volume to these trees. So back to this orange. And for this, I kind of want, obviously, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to have a little trouble. But I want this side of this tree to be lighter than this side of the tree behind it. So I'm going to come in kind of at this weird angle here and see if I can. Let's see how, that may just have to do it this way. I didn't really care for how that was. It's not. So basically just laying some paint down and then kind of widening that shape that I made. I think I'll just leave it. Pull some more up in here. Just using the side of my brush. Now I've cleaned it out and I'm just using water. Line there. And not all of this will be, you know, I kind of want this part here to be fairly light. So I want to be pretty careful that I don't pull too much of this stuff down into there. But I want to kind of separate these two, you know, tree shapes. I've got one here that's in front of this one. So by putting this slightly darker orange on top of it, it'll make this one, you know, it'll push this one forward. And then even though this is dark, simply by being on top of that, it'll read like it's on top. Over, you want this tree to be fairly light throughout. And then I'll pull in some of that orange mix that I made. Scarlet Lake orange mix, because I want that to come on up into this area. All the way over into there, that darker. I could come in even with a little more, just maybe a little of that quinacridone violet even up in here, just to kind of darken some of that, add a little more texture, but while that's still fairly wet, it'll fuse in together here. And drop a little water. Move back to this orange, kind of over in here, and kind of start to soften this. I've got a lot of really sharp lines. I kind of want to see if I can't soften that one. That kind of worked. Thing is, I mean, the great thing about watercolors, it doesn't have to be perfect, because these shapes will suggest people use their, well, I guess I should say the great thing about impressionistic painting in general, but people use their imagination. Now, I gotta be careful that I don't start working on that yet. But well, I should say it allows people to use their imagination to kind of finish things. So if you have a shape that looks remotely similar to a tree, people are going to go, oh, that's a tree. And they're going to think that. Until you painted a wonderful tree. And you can say thank you. this up there a little bit just to break that up just a bit more. On screen, it looks a little bit more bright red than it is, but I don't know. Getting down a little bit, not quite as bright. And that section right there was really wet, so when I added it in there, it really fused. Even though I still have a little light section there, it's all pretty wet. I do want a little, even though this whole tree is fairly light, I want a little bit of darker colors down in there. So I want to pull some of this orange back up. I'm just going to put it down in the crook of these two trees. And then sort of kind of make a texture using the side of my brush. Not worried about paint. I'm not painting the whole thing. You know, I'm not doing that kind of a thing. I'm just kind of placing it in there and then letting it, you know, little bits of the yellow poke through. I'm gonna add a little bit more back down in here as well. That's a little bit too much. I'll clean out my brush since I have so much there. And I can add here. Yeah, I kind of want this section to look like it's on fire. I don't know if that's a good thing right now, but forest fires and stuff.
Good thing to say.
It may not be how I want to brand it, but that's kind of what, you know, I want it to look really bright. Here, mainly because I have these trunks for the other tree kind of coming up in there, so I need to use something like that. So, that tree, I like that. This is still real light over here, which I want. I've managed to kind of keep that. Right here. Make it look like it's not aligned. Okay. Formed there, so I'm going to add just a wee bit more of the orange, if I on my brush, to kind of break that up. Really be that light. be so much lighter than. Yeah, that's looking all right. I've started a little bit over in here with some of these oranges. This whole tree in the photo is a little bit darker, but I think what I may do is keep it fairly light for right now and see. So I just want some kind of shadowy bushy shapes going on in here as well. I think over here, though, I am going to get a fair bit darker. I'm going to use some permanent red because this is a slightly darker, orangier tree. Maybe it's a different type of tree. I don't know. So I'm going to kind of pull this whole edge over here back by adding this permanent red over here. Soften that line up. Come in with a little macronal violet down in here. Where I don't like the shapes, I can come back in and just kind of scrub them up with my damp brush. So I kind of keep the hint of that shape, but it's kind of the ghost of it, but it's not really there. Also, I'm not too worried about the fact that this is fairly dark. I do have a line here, so I need to pull that through because I have a line of dark stopping at this spot where I have these trunks taped off. I need to kind of pull it through so it's not just a strip of dark right there. But I'm not too worried about how dark it is. It's actually not that dark, but I can come in later and sprinkle water on it or spritz it with my water bottle after it's dry and do a little lifting. Shape going on right there. Get rid of. I just have a wet brush that I've squeezed most of the water out of. Well, I got the paper wet, and then I'm just using that, kind of rolling it to pick some of that up. It's funny, it looks better in person than it does on the screen. I think that's just the angle of the camera. It makes it look really, I don't know.
Oh, mine too. It looks so much better on screen than in person.
This is a very straight line. I need to kind of break it up a bit. Put a little hey, pull that back up. That's a little better, right? It was just very straight. The other thing that's bugged. Maybe it made it worse. I don't know. Yeah, that's what's bugging me actually is this little shape right there. Go away entirely. Yeah, I don't know if that's any better or not. Hard to tell. Some of this back on. Still trying to save a lot of this light area right there, but all right. I have to admit, I've been a little nervous about this section up here. And I really need to start looking at pushing this and this, you know, kind of where this, well, this section here, I need to be about that dark. And this I need to be super dark. So I'm going to dry this really quick and start in on the dark up here. It's really only going to be about that dark. And then I'm really going to push this dark. Really dark. All right. So I'm looking at maybe peacock blue. This isn't sky up here. It's just like more of a, you know, it's more pine trees and stuff back in there that are behind all these aspens. But I'm not going to actually paint pine tree shapes. It's just a dark back there. And so I'm gonna, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna use some. So I don't want super darks, but you know, I want a little bit of dark. So I'm gonna start with some peacock blue. I think I also picked up a little green in here. There's a little bit of light bouncing off of those trees right there, so we'll leave that. I did pick up a little, more like a turquoise, like a peacock turquoise. Something created there. That is okay. Got a little of that. I'm gonna go to a little quinacridone violet mixed with. Oops, that is not quinacridone violet. Pretty color though. I don't know what that was. What was that? Oh, copper kettle. That's right. Another quinacridone color, kind of a brown. So I'm going to use a little quinacridone violet. Here, I'll kind of angle over here. Right here. And a little royal blue, just to make it a little darker. I don't want that bright violet. So I want a little bit darker violet. And I've been taking so long that my paper is drying, so I got to be quick. If I have to, I'll just overlap it and then add some water. And then I need, let's see, I think I'm going to move into a little bit of just royal blue. Well, now it's looking quite a bit darker, but it will dry a lot lighter than. There's a whole lot of water. Dark blue mixed with. And then just a few little areas of, so I'm going to use that peacock blue green a little bit. It's just to add that dark back down there that's kind of meeting up. I don't want to connect the whole thing, but about like that. Just to kind of help shape that green. Bushy, leafy shape. That's what I'm trying to call it instead of tree. I just want to kind of define it a little bit. But I don't want to go overboard, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. I am going to drop just a wee bit more of that purple right in there, so it feels like it's connected. That would be about that dark when it dries. If not, I can come back in. I am going to add just a wee bit more of this royal blue up here. A bit darker than it is because it's drying a little bit lighter than I wanted to, but that's all right. Not by much. We'll leave that. Now I'm going to come back down in here and kind of work my way this way with some darker darks. Really build up those darks. So I'm going to use a little royal blue. You can even, I'm going to start with that, but you can even use indigo. I'm going to bring some of that into here. I want to try to save some of those little light orangey areas that I have. And I'm going to move into a little blue-green. That's what I have right here. I kind of stick with that. I don't care if I cover all of the darks that I have there. That way I have some mid-tone darks and some really dark darks. So I'm not going to worry about covering the whole thing. I don't know if you can, how much detail you can see, so I'll zoom in on that. You can see that I've left parts of the darker area or the dark background, as well as those little light areas. This is all sense. But again, I can sculpt further back tree shapes. I had one there and I accidentally covered it up. Actually pretty good. Doggone it. So I don't want to cover all of the darks that I already have with the even darker darks. Back into some of this green down here. But I do want to cover, you know, really push some of that dark back in. So you can see I'm really...
Izzy was waiting on me.
Did you go a long way?
I stayed, well, you know, you can't leave for nieces. And then I went and saw your mom. And, you know, you can't leave them.
Huh. I told her I had to leave her. My husband was going to send the police out.
So I'm going to mix a little bit of indigo with some of the peacock blue, so it's kind of a brighter gray. Show you what I've got going on right there. That's this color, and because I have some peacock blue down in here, and at some point I kind of want to define where the edge of that pine tree is. So just a little darker. I have some of that over here as well, so I want to pull in some of that. It's a little bit brighter dark, if that makes sense, than just like an indigo alone. Peacock blue kind of brightens it up quite a bit. Mostly on screen, it just looks dark. Back into it. A little bit more of that over here. You can see how that's really starting to push that area back compared to some of the other stuff. I want that to actually come pretty far over here to this, where this tree is, to help define a little bit of that. I think I'm going to move to a little royal blue and quinacridone violet mix, but it's going to be heavier on the blue than what I have here. So I'm going to just kind of move into that. I'll have it touch some of that peacock, dark peacock blue mix, and then also just some pure. Again, I'm just creating, it's a way to create more texture, more volume. But then the dark shape. So it's just not one solid dark shape. It's medium tones, darks, and lights all in that dark shape. Sure that I pull that through this truck here. And I think I'm going to bring a little of that. I added a little indigo to that purpley mix just to really push it back a little bit. I think over here I'm going to add a little bit more dark as well, just to really push this area back. So this is that purple mix, but it's got a little bit of indigo in it, so it's even a little bit darker. And again, I'm just kind of sculpting the side of that pine tree, and then I need to bring that through, maybe just and move into actual indigo. And as I start to get close to this edge, I'll start to soften that back out. Not a lot though. There's a little bit more water in this area than this. Although there is a fair amount of water in all of it. But you can see it's a wee bit dark or lighter as we start to get over towards the edge of the paper. Sorry, I didn't finish that thought. But yeah, that's really started to push that back quite a bit. Yeah. So let me get this dry and see what happens. Because we'll start adding some shadows in here. We'll start playing with some more darks, kind of breaking up some of this. And this, once this dries, it may still need to be it may still need to go a little darker as well. How's everybody doing?
All right, I think.
You need to kind of hang tight for a minute. Any questions or anything?
Not for me.
Okay. All right. What I think I'm going to do is spatter a little with my toothbrush. I don't want it too wet. This is something I learned. But let's see. Let me get a kind of a mix up a little color here. I want a rusty. Rusty orange. So I've got a little bit of burnt sienna and my permanent. I'm sorry, my permanent yellow orange. Let's see if I'm just going to add a few little speckles. Right now, it just looks like dots. But here in a minute, I'll show you what I'm going to do. Actually wash my brush out, my toothbrush out. Sure I get a fair amount of the water out, and then just sprinkle plain water on there. So I can get those little dots to run. And for this, you can use more water. It's just when you're doing the little dots.
Michael, that's your toothbrush?
Yeah, I'm just hitting my toothbrush against my finger. If the paper's that way, I'm basically just hitting it like that. Where I don't like it, I can go back in and pick a little of that up. It just adds a little texture. It's a little hard to see, but it's starting to add a little texture in there. I didn't really care for what was going on there anyway, so I'll just lift that back out. But I do like the texture that's going on up there. I could use a little pyro orange in my toothbrush. Some of the water out of it. Now that I have some water on the paper with my toothbrush, I'm trying to show you guys like alternative ways of getting that texture. A lot of times I'll use a spray bottle, but until I can find how Tom Lynch sells his, I don't want to recommend. He's got a different supplier than Holbein now, and I can't figure out how to order his. They're on his website, but I can't find how you order them off his. They're just listed there. But now I can go back in with just a clean brush, pick some of that up. Basically, just adding a wee bit of texture. It's a little hard to see this far away again, but you can see I've added that pyro orange. a lot of this is really where my area of interest is. This is going to get kind of a wash of green and stuff, so I don't really know that I'm going to worry too much with this side. I do have to say it is easier with the spray bottles, but I'm trying to show you guys alternative ways of doing that same kind of thing. Before I took Tom Lynch's workshop, I used to use my toothbrush for this kind of texture all the time. So. That gave me a little bit. And then I can go back in also actually kind of a fun way to do it is to spritz some water with your toothbrush in a few spots. We'll do it over here. I don't want to overwork this section. And then go back in. I have Pyro Orange in my brush. You just kind of drop it in where it runs into some of those puddles that have formed from the toothbrush. I got little dots of paint all over the place. I mean, sorry, of water. And I can kind of add some more fun texture. If it's too much, I can go back in and pick some of it up. I like that shape. Lift some out, I can dry that off. I have too much water on it. Just other ways of making texture that I find kind of handy. And ways of putting color down. I like how bright that is right there. And I kind of want a little bit of that over here to balance it out. So I'm going to pull some of this Pyro Orange down into this darker orange that I've got here just on top. It'll brighten that up just a skosh. Pulling that down there. Make sure I pull it past that. Everywhere I have a little trunk taped off, I need to pull that past there so I don't have a line where the color stops. There's going to be a line there, but I want it to be the trunk, not the line of color. Okay, so let's start on some of this road, adding a little bit more. I do actually, before I kind of get in, before I get into too much of shadow things, I want to add a little bit more color in here. So I'm going to take a little Pyro Orange. You could use a little Opera. You could use a little just the brightest orange you have. And I'm just going to kind of pull some of that in here in using the side of my number 10 brush, just to kind of give a little bit of different color. And by using the side of my brush, I get these really interesting strokes. Now I don't want that large flat edge up there, but I'll just go up and soften that part. But I get these kind of interesting strokes by pushing and kind of pulling up. I'm going to add a little more bright. Kind of make the lighter areas where there's not going to be shadows really pop a little bit more. Just by adding that little pop of yellow or the permanent yellow deep I could add, just for color variation, so it's just not all brown or whatever. So I'm going to dry that real quick. I have a little peacock blue in there. I'm going to want to add a little bit more, I think, before I get going too hard on these shadows. So I don't want to. I don't want the peacock blue to run too much into the other, so I kind of dried that a little bit. It's still a little damp, but not enough to. I'm just going to kind of pull in some more. Up that. Just adding texture and helping flatten by making those kind of strokes that sweep through. They help flatten that road out a little bit. Now I just have, just some interesting colors on that road. And now we can start thinking about some of these shadows coming off of these trees. I know I'm going to have some pretty good shadow coming off of here. I may want to save that little pop of light right there, so I may put around in there and then come across. I am going to have, obviously these are the last two trees on this road. So I'm going to have some shadow that comes across here and across the road, and back up. There's kind of a canopy over the road, so there'll be a lot of shadow coming up across and then back up onto the other side. Yeah, so let's do that. So I'm going to use. I'm not going to use the flat 1-inch brush, just because I know I'm going to be getting into some small areas. I'm going to use my number 10 round. That'll give me a nice point, and I can start. I'm going to kind of start with this first one and work my way back. Even though technically, because the back is further away, I should be working my way forward. I have trouble visualizing that sometimes, so I'm going to work from the front to the back. And I'm going to start off with a little peacock blue over in here mixed with that green. Mostly peacock blue, but it'll have a little bit of a green tint to it. And this kind of whole area right here is going to be quite a bit darker. And we can start. I'm going to pull a little blue into there now, a little not indigo, royal blue down into this. And then I kind of want this whole bit here to be in shadow, and then it's going to come across. And I want to kind of build up. I have a few kind of ruts kind of hinted at, so I want to kind of further those along. I'm going to switch into a little quinacridone violet mixed with the indigo on here. I need to make sure that I'm using a lot of water. And didn't do a very good job of it there, but I kind of want this to look a little bit sun-dappled, so I want to save some of my lights. Part of that I can come back in and paint even darker stuff over the top of this. Let's move into kind of a quinacridone burnt orange mixed with a little of this violet, so I get a kind of a more brown kind of look over in here. That's run pretty good. I'm going to use a little opera over here, just dropping a little of that just so I get some of that random color popping through there. And then back over here as well. And it'll help with that sun dapple. Back into a little of the more purpley stuff. We've got that kind of brown. I want a little more violet here. And probably some of that peacock blue as well. Drop it in. And if it doesn't look perfect, it's okay because we can go back in and lift some out. Mine I don't think looks that great, but that's okay. This needs a little dark. So I'm going to add a little hooker's green mixed with indigo. Maybe some more of that over here. And this can just kind of be whatever. I'm going to switch back into some of that burnt orange over here. Do that.
White on it, huh?
So now I kind of have this bottom, in shadow, like maybe we're standing there in the shade. And if I get stuck with it, it's okay. I can take it up once it dries. Still a little too bad. Basically, I just, use a variety of colors to make this dark shape on the ground. And I feel like this needs to be a little bit, a little of that coming across. Maybe that bit there is sticking up. It doesn't really have to match anything that's in real, that you've done. Like maybe I need a little more violet. looks like a big old mess on mine right now, but that's okay. I'm not too worried. I'm going to switch to a slightly smaller, but I'm going to go to my number 8 as the shadows are going to start getting smaller. And I'm going to start these two off of this, and this will sort of help define that shape here. So I'm going to start off, I think, with a little violet, quinacridone violet, just up in here, and pull these. Maybe there's a little shadow there, kind of something coming off like that. With the trunk, with the light. Move to some blue. It's a little royal blue, and I picked up a little peacock blue in it, just to break up that purpley shape. There's a little peacock blue, a little royal blue, and then I'm going to start going across here with some royal blue. I'm going to pull that up in there so that stop right there. Have a little royal blue coming in. This is where the rest of the tree sort of starts. Violet. And into a little of that quinacridone burnt orange. Again, burnt sienna would work fine for you guys who don't have quinacridone burnt orange. But I'm going to add a little, I'm going to mix a little royal blue into some part of it. I'm going to have some of the more orangey areas, but right now I just have the blue. Now I'm moving back into that quinacridone burnt orange. Again, this could be burnt sienna, whatever you want. I add some water to some spots so it doesn't completely dry out yet. Let's move back into that fire. Bit that comes up into here. Back up in spots. Most of this road is going to be kind of dappled and in shadow, so that's a little green down in there. Pull some of that up into there too. So it's hooker's green and royal blue or indigo, I can't remember. Either way, you'll get kind of a cool dark blue. Pull that in across here. Still feel like that's a weird shape. So just kind of getting these shadows to kind of come across. Maybe there's another one that comes off here. Let's see, I'm going to mix it up and go into a little. Use a little magenta, I think. Oops, what is that? Quinacridone rose, sorry. And I had a little brown in my, still in my brush, or a little green, so it made it a little more brown. And then into, I'm going to use a little opera. I'm going to drop some of that in there, just to lighten up some spots. the cool thing about Opera or any of those lighter colors, they'll kind of push some of those darker colors out of the way, so you get these little pops of pink. You can kind of see where that happened here. Get these little pops of pink in there, so it just lends itself to that dapple light look. And then as I get back down in there a little further, I'm going to be less concerned about what width. You know, there's a little shadow coming off of here. That's just some Hooker's green that I've got there, and a little blue, and maybe there's a, you know, this will just kind of come across, and then that'll. I got some other shadows. There's one right there. You can see I'm just kind of pulling them across. Less concerned with varying the color. I just want to kind of show that the shadows come across into there. Kind of hold that up. So I kind of have some horizontal things going on there. Maybe I want a little bit more of a horizontal right here of a shadow. That comes over like that. And I'm gonna put a little indigo down in there, back up in here. It's really just royal blue, but I want a little bit more darks back up in here. And there's not a lot. I'm just putting tiny little strokes in there. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. You can see it's just tiny little strokes that when you look in real close, there's not a lot to them. They're just kind of little things. Add a little more dark in there. Some dark in here.
Hey, Michael, Jamie sent you a message.
Oh, she did? Thank you. Oh, we'll see. Yeah, I'll post that picture and the video and stuff for thanks, Jesse. And then I'm going to add a little more dark and stuff up into here. I need to break this kind of light area up. There's a little bit of dark stuff, you know, going in here. So I've got these shadows kind of laid in. While those are still going, I'm gonna pull in some darks in here, kind of help break that light up. May have to kind of finish this up next week. I didn't realize we were, and then start a new one too. Well, not quite done. I just put the finishing touches on it next week. So I have some. That's indigo right there that I've dropped in there, and then I also want some violets in there, just to kind of break that blue monopoly up a little bit.
Have you taken the tape off of your tree trunks?
I have not. It's still on there.
Okay, I just couldn't tell. I thought I might have missed something.
Yeah, no, it's still there. I'm just kind of adding some leafy dark shapes back up in here now. So I had some indigo. I'm using, and it's still fairly wet right there, which is why I'm kind of trying to get rid of a line. But now I've got some quinacridone violet and pulling that up into there to kind of break up this shape. Some of it will get broken up also with those trunks and stuff that are in there, but let's see, I think I'm going to move to a little of this darker orange that I mixed up, which was the Scarlet Lake and quinacridone rose mix. Or no, it was, what was that? It was burnt sienna and orange, I think, is what I did with that. Just kind of breaking that shape up. Don't need super hard edges, just want it less, you know, big yellow shape. I want to break it up. And I'm kind of using the earth tones because I want it a little rustier over in this area. Sum that up. Shadows at the bottom of my shrubby stuff down here. Kind of waiting for that to dry a little bit, so I'm working. Yeah. I don't want to overwork it though, so I'm trying to be judicious. This is a little dark, so I'm going to just get it a little wet with my brush and then let it sit for a second. Pick some of that up. That lightened it up. I don't know if you can tell, but it did lighten it up a little bit. I'll try it one more time. It still looks really dark on camera, but it's kind of in. That lightened it up a lot. Now I've got a weird line there, so I do need to pull some of that indigo back down into here just to break up that, so it doesn't look like a line, but I don't want it super dark. I have to be kind of careful. But you can see this is really not, there's not a lot of detail. Let me, sorry, just, there we go. I want that to fall on. I'm going to dry this real quick, and then I'm going to do some more ruts in the road to help flatten that back out. All right, so I'm gonna use just water right now, and I'm gonna lift some ruts out of this. So I'm just gonna paint a few on here with water. Make sure I have enough water. And this will start flattening that back out again. So I gotta remind myself that it's a pretty big area, so I need to do just a little bit at a time. So I've let that set for a little bit. I'll blot it up with a dry towel and scrub that back up and see if you can kind of see I've added those ruts back in there. So I think it needs a few more. Once I once I lift some of these out, I'm going to do some up in there. I can go back in and add a little bit more detail to them. I can add darker shadows and spots. Light. And if they're ever, if they're too fat, I can go back in and paint dark around them in spots. To thin them back down. Like that one right there is pretty thick. Blot that up. Yeah. So that one ended up, I didn't realize I had so much water right there, but I can go back in and kind of thin that down. Same with over here. So real quickly, I will wait to zoom with the camera. So I can come back in and maybe pick up some of that color. Now that's going to be a little hard to kind of mimic, but I'm going to use a little opera over there and a little of this kind of weird brown purpley thing that I mixed and kind of I'll make that just a wee bit thinner. Maybe I'll make this one over here into 2 ruts. There's a rut next to it. Over here, I've got this kind of brown purpley color, mostly purple. This will be 2 ruts. We'll change this one single rut, giant fat rut, into 2 thinner. And then one will kind of disappear. Here I've got a little green, a little weird, so I want to add a little green there. Yeah. Same with up here. Maybe just, I'll put a little green, purpley green color in there and kind of thin that rut up a little bit. And then up in here, we'll just pull that. And then I can add some where I've got, ruts that look like they're running into each other, like this one here. I can come in and add a little bit of a dark streak to kind of tie those in. There's one right here that's a little bit of a shadow. Same with this, I'll add a little shadow to that. Just to add a little more texture, a little more detail. I don't want to go too deep into the details, but enough to tell the story. there. Back up in here. Picking that up. I don't want to go hog wild with these. You can go overboard. I don't care for this one right here. So I'm going to just kind of cover that back up with a little purpley color. Let me just show you. It's really easy to overdo these, and I'm on the verge of that. So I want to just kind of leave it at that. Let's see. We've got 15 minutes left. I want to show you the lifting of these trees, and I want to get to the trunks. I'm thinking we finish this up next, in the beginning of next class, and I'll start a new one next class as well. I'll send you guys that earlier, so you guys can get it drawn out. So we're not wasting too much time, but this is a little more involved than that last one we did. So I want to make sure that we get enough time to really cover some of this other stuff. So why don't we have about 15 minutes left. Let me, what am I looking for here? What is it? There it is. Does anybody want to share theirs and get a little bit of critique on it, and then we'll do a final one next week too. Anybody wanna?
Yeah, I guess I do.
Okay, here we go. Let me make you the spotlight video. All right. Let me get a little. Let me get a screenshot of that. Come on. Why is it? Why are you being difficult? There we go. All right. And okie doke. You can set it down now, Richard.
Hmm?
You can go ahead and set it down if you want.
I didn't hear it click, so.
Oh no, that's okay. Let me pull this into. It was a little crooked. Let me. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen really quick though.
Okay.
When I took the screenshot, you had it at kind of a bit of an angle. So let me just kind of. Let's see. I don't want to do it that way. What am I looking for? I'm just going to kind of rotate it a little bit. Straight, that worked a little bit. I could really go in and straighten it out, but yeah. So I like what you. So you said you were going to kind of work off of something similar, but and I think let's see. Let's get. I think if you're like having your light source kind of come from the same direction. Which I'm guessing, I would start to look at dropping, because you have all these trees over here. I would start dropping shadows in across,
Okay.
across this road.
All right.
You can even like this could even come across. I mean, there'd be a whole slew of. These are terribly drawn shadows, by the way. So don't draw them like this.
Okay.
But you could have a shadow come up there, You're going to want some more darks on this side too, because right now all
Okay.
your darks are concentrated over, over in this area. So
Oh,
you,
yeah.
it's real heavy on the right
Mhm.
side. But you can see by pulling these shadows over, I can then add volume to something by kind of, it helps make it look like the road is sort of down in a hollow a little
Yeah.
bit, just by adding a bit of that curve to it. But yeah, then I would come in here and add a whole lot of, I'm not doing a very good job, but a whole lot of darker darks
Okay.
to some areas, so you can break up some of these shapes, because there's a lot of linear stuff going on.
Yeah.
But you want to get a little bit of more let's do this. So if I add some darks in some strategic places to help define some of these shapes,
Yeah.
like you've done over here. You have these really nice pine trees that are defining each other, and this stuff back up in here. I think you need a little bit more of defining shapes. I'm not drawing very good defining shapes, but hopefully you get the idea.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would push, like, it to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this kind of, instead of kind of the way I was doing it, to me, this looks like kind of a nice little mountain back here. I don't, it's a little hard to tell, but maybe there's another one right here, kind of hill. So this could, I like this kind of light blue that you've got there. And maybe, you could get these, do some more kind of like pine tree shapes back here, to kind of define this shape. Maybe these are more deciduous trees. And then you have these kind of vertical, and then you have this nice little blue. I mean, it could even be, this could just be a flat blue, that kind of light wash that you have there.
Yeah.
Already, and just maybe make this same blue that's there just slightly darker in the shape. I did a terrible drawing of the mountain, by the way. It's hard to draw with my mouse. But hopefully you get the idea of what I'm getting at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But that'll kind of define, give your road a location to go to. And then I would even pull some shadows, like maybe there's a shadow coming off of this tree here, kind of into that area. Maybe even something here, kind of break up some of that extreme light that you've got going on down in here. And then you can start to add in some more little ruts and things.
Okay.
But I think this is starting to look really good.
Oh,
I like what you're doing.
no, thanks.
I think it just needs, a little bit, because you have so much dark over here. I think you need some of that over here too.
Yeah.
And I think you just hadn't gotten to it yet. But no. So yeah, good job.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Nobody's holding theirs up.
I'll show you mine. I got behind. I didn't do the shadows yet.
Oh, that's okay. Oh yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Let me get a little screenshot here.
I like it.
I think they're perfect.
Awesome. Okay. I got it. You can. Let's see. I think that's looking really good. Let me, here we go. Share screen. think once you get those shadows coming in, off of some of these trees,
Mm-hmm.
coming across there, and then and even break up some of this light here from, like, there's a shadow coming off of this tree, maybe. That's really kind of maybe one or two trees, but you've got this kind of shadowy shape coming up into, maybe not quite that far, but and then maybe break this up. You don't even necessarily have to go, like I went all the way across, but yours could just come in, kind of in that space. This would be kind of, and then just get, there'd be some shadow coming off of this here. And as you get back up into here, these shadows just get more linear than like these foreground shadows. You'll have some shadows. And don't worry if you don't have, don't make them, I got a shadow here and then I got a shadow here. Break up the distance between them, maybe there's another shadow coming in here. There's going to be, we're going to go in and lift. So if I flip this around real quick and really soft, we're going to go in and lift some wow, that didn't lift it up. Oh, that's weird. What's going on here? We're going to go in and lift some, those are way too light now. We're going to, lift some trunks in here to break up these darks a little bit. You've got pine trees kind of, maybe there'll be some back in the background or whatever. And we'll dot some, we'll splatter some water in there and kind of make some more texture. But is normal. That's what I want. Just kind of bring in some shadow to kind of break up this shape a little bit. And then once you do that, you can do a little bit of the lifting of stuff. I think also we're going to want some shadow over in this area, kind of like I did, just to kind of break this up and help help this tree kind of define it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's some of the stuff that I was doing there towards the end. So, but just kind of define these trunks that you've got there. And then when we pull, I don't know, do you have trunks taped off there, or is that?
They're taped.
Okay, yeah. Once we pull that off, we'll be able to go in and really define them. But you can add a few darks around them for now and then. But I think that's really starting to look good. I might soften, see if you can't soften some of this right in here. And as you get closer to the, to the edge of the paper, these little areas where the lines are, I might try and soften that a little bit. Just because those lines can tend to pull your eye out of the, maybe that one too, off the page. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so just kind of soften those if you can. If not, you may have to add a little bit more, dark. I'm just going to use this dark, but you may have to add a little bit more of whatever. Actually, I have the technology. If I can find it. There it is. Add a little bit more of that color back up in this area. I'm doing a terrible job, but kind of like you have over here. You've done that just to disguise that line right there just a bit.
Okay.
That help any?
Yeah, that does. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah. Otherwise, I think this is looking really cool. It's looking nice.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Anybody else want to?
Okay. Have you look at
Oh, here we go.
I forgot how to do it.
Oh, just hold it up. All you have to do is hold it up in front of your camera.
Oh, okay. I haven't done. Let me see.
Yeah, pull it back just a wee. There you go. That's perfect. Okay, hold it there.
That looks nice, Jeannie.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. I had to add.
You got a bit of an echo. Do you have two mics on there?
No. Well,
No, now it's gone. I don't know what was going on there. Let's see. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, you had a wee bit of an echo going on there for a second.
oh heck.
Technology.
I had to add there that wasn't planned because I tried to erase some of my pencil marks and I had just painted the blue below, the dark blue below. I'm talking about to the right of the road. See that little tree I had?
Right here.
The leaning spruce tree,
Oh, this one here?
right in the very, yeah. I had to add because I made a mistake.
That's okay. That's you took a mistake and you made it into a tree.
Yeah.
That's classic Bob Ross right there. Either that or make it into a bird.
Some of those colors aren't very forgiving. You can't lift them.
Yeah, there a few of them are, yeah. But yeah, no, I like that little tree there. You might even add, since you've got one, make it really look like it was on purpose and add a smaller one,
Side.
next to it.
Okay.
Kind of right in here, just a little tiny short one,
But
just right in like that.
okay, I will.
And then it really looks like you did it on purpose. My only thought here is I would pull these darks that you've got here. I would make them come all the way down.
Okay.
I would make them come all the way. So I would this whole bit back in here probably needs to be
Okay.
dark, just because your trees here are in front of it. In fact, I might even bring this down just a skosh more, maybe, and maybe let me rethink that. I keep forgetting this. If I do it with another layer, it's non-destructive, so I can erase it and not erase your painting. Why did that not give me? Oh, here we go. So actually, I think I would lower this just a skosh, maybe like that.
Okay.
And then this kind of here. And then you can add some, break this up with other shadows that are kind of coming off of there. I'm not doing a very good job of drawing them, but this whole area here that I've kind of scribbled over should be pretty, should be the same dark.
All right.
Just because of the shape that you've got going on there. Or, well, here's another thought. Actually, let's do this. Actually, what you could do, because you have that nice kind of cut, whoops, you've got that nice color back there. You could, what am I looking for? Brush size. Not quite that. Big. You could actually have a couple more tree trunks in here, just by leaving, well, that's maybe not the best shape. Let's try that again. Maybe you've got one here and one here, so you paint some darks around. And I know there's some dark here, but what you can do is go back in and lift some of that out. Up in here, just lift it. And just because it's this is a terrible, weird angle that I've gotten this trunk to go, but just lift a little of that out using the water with your brush there. And that breaks that up and actually adds a little bit of more interest there. So really you just paint dark around, just leave a couple of trunks in there and paint this dark. You can even tape them off now if you want.
Yes.
Kind of like you've done over here. And so then that breaks it up and adds a couple more trees. And then you've got another reason to kind of break up this really big light area a little bit with some shadow. And these don't come out as far as those. Also, maybe bring in some of these shadows down into here. Not all, don't cover up all of the really pretty shapes you've got there. But this is, color you've got there. This is a single, kind of straight line right there. So I think if you bring some of this down and change up that straight line into some different shapes a little bit, kind of like you've got over here. See how this is kind of undulating a little bit? I mean, this could even maybe come down a little bit lower, but maybe not. But it's kind of less, this is a really straight line right there, whereas this is nice and kind of broken up. And then that gives you something to pull some of these shadows up into.
Okay.
And then I would go ahead and bring, this is kind of a tree lined road. So I would go ahead and bring these shadows all the way across, and then, kind of up into there as well. And you can even, like, you got another tree, looks like right there, bring a shadow, not that direction. Bring a shadow off, like that as well. Just to really show that there's this tree line road is really casting shadows all the way across. And then this shape here, I would go ahead and fill that in right there.
Okay.
And then bring this up kind of
Or, okay.
to that. But it's looking really nice. You could even, if you wanted, let's see. Grab a little of that color. You could even maybe bring in, I'm going to draw a line first, but bring in and kind of define this tree shape. I'm doing a terrible job of drawing, but that
More.
a little bit more behind these little pine trees. And then kind of like you did here, you have this nice kind of sharp edge, and then it pulls out. So put that sharp edge in, and then let's see.
Well, see, I have the I have the aspen trunks below that, my new spruce there.
Yeah, right here.
No, to the right. Go to the right. Yeah, those trunks. I had them masked already.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what.
What I would do is I would pull, or is there tape on there?
No, it's masking fluid.
Or masking fluid. I would lift that masking fluid up, and then I would go ahead and just kind of paint over them. But because here's what happened with that tree that you put in here. Now you have these kind of trunks that are sticking up into nothing. So I would just lift that part. I wouldn't lift this over here because you have a trunk here too, right?
Right.
Leave that one, but then just lift these up, and then paint this, this kind of nice reds and stuff in there. Don't worry about those. And then you can actually come in with a little darker color, just kind of, I don't know if you can tell, but this is supposed to be a wash. It's not a very good brush, but it's kind of working for what. So I'm kind of softening it out. Okay. Exactly kind of like you've done in other places. You have kind of a sharp little bit of a line defining. You may not even need is everything so hard to find? It probably doesn't need to go that high, but because it's got a little bit of a hint of it there, and that's probably enough. But just to kind of help push this one forward and this tree back a little bit to meet up with this trunk that you've got there. And then what you can do is come in with a slightly darker color, like a little, and when we're lifting some more trunks out of these darks back here, you can actually add maybe a trunk slightly darker in back in behind there.
Okay.
Add a trunk to this, so it'll be with a dark color, and we can do that next week. You don't need to do it now. If you don't feel like it, don't you don't necessarily need to. I'm just saying, if it bothers you that there's no trunk for that tree, it's either behind this pine tree here, either behind that pine tree. Well, it probably is behind that pine tree. So you don't even need to add these trunks if you don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, because the little yellow one in the front on the right, lower right.
Yeah,
and
you
the
can come here and
yeah, trees
yeah.
behind.
So, but I think you're doing great. I think this is looking good. I think some of this, like I would, again, pull some of this down lower, so it's not quite as bright behind the trees.
The light.
Yeah, pull some of the dark down into the light area a little lower. And then I think if you break up some of these with a few more dark kind of bits around it,
Okay.
just to knock back a little bit of that brightness as we get. In fact, you probably could just put a thin, like a watery wash of purple over this whole section here. Let me outline it with a lighter color. So if you take this whole section here, and then soften it, take this purpley color and just do a really watery wash over the top of that. It'll knock that back into space a little bit, so it's
Like-
not popping up. Yeah,
I thought,
like it's a,
though, it was real bright there.
well,
That's
it is. I don't want you to cover up this stuff here. Leave that, and I don't want you to make it. I don't want you to make it dark. I just want you to take a really watery, mostly water, just a hint of color, and knock that back just a little bit, and it'll help you. It'll help it look like it's receding in the distance by putting that real watery, mostly water, very tiny amount of that purple.
okay.
And if that makes you nervous, use some of whatever this color is right here. This kind of orangey
Red.
Knock it back with a little of that. And again, mostly water, very little paint. And then as you get up towards the front of the painting in this area, then just start to fade it into just water. That way, so
Okay.
as you get closer, like you're going to start off kind of in this neighborhood, really, right where this tree trunk is here, this kind of double, dang it, keep moving that. This double tree trunk right here.
Okay.
Start there and just do a little bit of, it'll be a little bit darker in this area. And as you move away, just clean
Just
your
like,
and like that even gradient wash. That's what you're going to do. But you want to use very little paint, no, for your first pass, and then just move to water and just pull that little bit, and all it'll do is just knock it back just a hint, so it's not quite as bright. We still want it to be bright, lighter, but just not as.
that's bright.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think this is looking great, though.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Anybody else? Let's see.
I'll show you mine.
Okay, Tommy's got his up first, and then I'll
That's great. Wow. Echo.
now you have the echo there.
That
looks really nice.
Yeah. That's looking great, Tommy. I got a shot of it, so let me, you know, man, I just struggle, I think here. That's looking really nice.
Very nice, Tommy.
Very, very,
Yeah, I think I can't think of anything I would do to that. Maybe, and this is just a maybe, but come in kind of like I was telling Jeannie to put a little bit of a, if you add a little bit of this kind of darker red.
Michael, can you make the main picture?
Oh, I forgot.
I'm just looking at me.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to share the screen. My bad. Ah, it's getting late. I can tell I'm getting punch drunk. Okay. Now we're looking at it, right? Let's see. So what, where was it going? I had a thought. My only thought is to do kind of like I was telling Jeannie, over here on the right-hand side, take some of this kind of orangey reddish color and start with just a real thin wash of it over here and then kind of pull it a little bit that direction. But not a lot. It's got to be, I mean, what I've got on there is way too dark. You want it to be almost, this thin, mostly water, just a hint of color, just to kind of knock that edge down a little bit. So, because right now you have a really bright yellow shape right here that kind of pulls your eye off a little bit, but I have too small a brush. Let me make that a little bit bigger. So this area right in here, I would just knock back just a wee bit, but that's kind of nitpicky. I wouldn't, I think I think this is looking phenomenal. You could go in and lift, a few of these darks. Lift. That was terrible. Lift. Put in a few of these rut kind of things. Either add them with a dark color where it's light, or where it's dark. Lift them out of there, just to help flatten the road. But the road's looking really good, so there's not a lot. You don't need to. It's easy to overdo that, so don't do too many. But just a few little ruts in there. And then what we'll do is next week we'll break up some of this. It's still going to be real dark like that, but we'll break up some of that and we'll do some lifting. So it looks like there's a whole slew more trees back in there. But I really like what you've got going on here. I like how you kind of change this to these pine trees. I'm really digging that. It's looking really good. You could even, if you wanted, pull this blue, on over. I think it on your painting. I think it worked to go ahead and,
Yeah, I know. You said that was going to be kind of a background of pine trees, and
yeah.
it looks more like sky.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the way yours is working, you could go in and do some trees, that size. Back in here, because it is looking a little bit more like sky. Boy, that's a terrible point. But you get the idea.
Yeah.
A few in there, because it does kind of look like sky. And then it gives a reason for this dark back here.
Okay.
But I like how you've taken that, basic image and kind of made it your own. So yeah, it's looking good. Nicely done. Let's see. Kathy, you were gonna.
Yeah, just a minute. Okay.
Let's see. There you are.
Oh, this is just a minute.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pull it back just a wee bit, and then perfect. Right there. Awesome. Got it.
That's great, Kathy.
Yeah, it's looking nice. Okay, where did it go? Yeah, that's it. Share screen. I'm not gonna make that mistake again. Everybody can see that, right? No? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. Kathy, I think you're on the right track here as well. I think, yeah. What I might do, just to, so that it looks like there's a, like these trunk, like just to make this bunch of leaves right here look like maybe there's a trunk off view here or off the page a little bit. What I might do is come in and define this shape just a wee bit more. Boy, I'm kind of just define. I'm using a really ugly color, so don't use this color. But define this shape just a skosh more.
Oh, okay.
So push. This is really dark and it's a weird brown, so don't use this. Use one of these really pretty, like this orange here. I should have sampled that. Let me just get rid of this. And remember to new layer so I can erase things. So I'm thinking, ooh, here's a thought.
Well, I don't like the bottom of that tree, but I didn't recognize it till now.
Well, here's what you can do is make it a different tree simply by coming in. So I've got this kind of orangey color here. This may not be what you end up using. You've got this really nice kind of purpley color in there too. Use some of that. I'm going to come in and define. Yeah, this plan. I got that too late. I'm going to define. I'm going to come in and define this shape here like that. I mean, I'm outlining it, so don't totally outline it, but I define that shape, and then I'm pulling.
Shall I make a trunk? I mean, shall I make another trunk over there?
Not necessarily. You don't necessarily need to, but so I've defined this. But what because you have a shadow of a trunk, so I don't think you need a trunk for this bunch of leaves here. I think you just need to separate it from this bunch of leaves.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Just by going in and let me show you on mine real quick. Let me stop this share real quick. Let me go to this one. So you can see here, I have this. I have that same kind of thing where it's going down, but I defined it just with that little bit of orange right there. And so,
Okay.
yeah, I have this kind of darker thing going on there, which I'm not sure about. Probably needs to be pulled down a little bit more. But this whole chunk of whatever that is belongs to a tree that's over here, that's oops, sorry, that's over here off screen. And I think you have, or off camera. So I think you have a similar kind of shape, and you just need to define it as, you just need to define it and separate it. I'm not coming up with a really good color, but essentially,
Well, I understand, yeah.
you know, and then just kind of pull this out a little bit, really light, you know, wash, you know, pull just, and it doesn't even have to be that big, but it'll separate this whole section here and make it a whole different tree. Even part of this up here too. It'll make it a whole different tree that's just sticking in off the edge, and eventually it'll kind of blend in as well and won't look like much of anything, but well, it'll look like trees. And then what we'll do is we'll go in here and lift some more lighter trunks. I'm making those too big, but you get the idea. We'll go in and we'll lift some more trunks out of these darks. Also, I would push this dark area here.
Where?
I've outlined it with this orange. Here,
Oh, okay.
this area here,
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
all the way, pull it, like really make that dark. It's not, see how dark this is right here by the pine tree?
Uh-huh.
Even darker than that, you know, like really take that back dark.
Oh,
Like-
okay. Well, you know what it was, but I didn't like it, so I lightened it up.
Okay. Well, yeah, but see, do it, even though you don't like it, because we're going to break it up with different lifting techniques.
Oh, okay.
So we're not quite done. So yeah, go ahead and darken that whole thing back up. I mean, the shapes you've got going on, I like this little bit of light thing. Try to save that. And maybe don't you know, you don't have to darken like the whole, like I'm gonna use this dark. You don't have to come in and follow these lines exactly and darken everything within that space.
Uh-huh.
Just darken some of, you know, come in and add a little texture and dark. We want that really dark to look like
Oh, okay.
forest back up in there. So, you know,
Oh, okay.
darks, because we'll come back in and we'll lift some of that back out. We'll put tree trunks shapes in there, and then kind of pull it over until you get into about this way, this area here. Same with
Okay.
this kind of, you want darker, all the way almost to that pine tree there.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be one solid dark. It's just kind of how you have, see how you have this kind of mottled look up here in the trees with the light.
Uh-huh.
You kind of want that in the darks as well. It's a dark, but it's kind of not all one shade of, you know, one value of dark.
Right.
It's multiple values. I mean, I did a really terrible job with the mouse, but hopefully you get kind of that idea.
Yeah, I do. And then also those pine trees, they're kind of like really washed out.
You can go in and add, just like you're going to add a little dark in here, you can go in and add more darks like into some spots. So come in with some darker darks on top and add some more texture in on that.
Okay.
In some spots, and then, you know, that'll sharpen them up or whatever. This one I think needs to be a little bit taller right in there. He
Okay.
starts off really pointy and then goes really wide really fast. So I might
Right. Yeah, it does.
bring him up.
Okay, I can do that.
But same up here. You could even, you know, even sharpen or darken some of this one up a little bit, just by coming in and adding texture on top of it.
Okay.
Particularly on the shadow side of things, you know, over here on the right hand side of stuff. This side is going to be darker because the sun is coming from that direction.
Yes. Okay.
So, yeah.
Mhm.
But I think
Sometime-
overall it's looking really nice. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. Anybody else?
I'm going to do mine over. It's mud.
Okay.
Bad. So I'm
Okay.
not going to show you.
All
But
right.
can you take the picture? Did you take a picture last week of your painting?
I didn't. I forgot to.
Oh,
I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now and then send it out, and then we'll finish it up. Wait, you're just looking at my. What am I trying to do here? There we go. I'll take a picture of it. We'll finish it up first part of class next week, and then we'll.
okay. Well, could you just take a picture like tonight? Just
Yeah,
so
I'll
I,
do that. I'll take a
Yeah.
picture now and before I go home and send it out now.
okay, that would be great.
And then in there I'll note for like Janie who had to leave early, and
Yeah.
I'll say, hey, we didn't finish this up, but
I just made muddy messes everywhere. I'm like,
that happens to the best of us. I mean, I get that all the time too. So
well, it's pretty bad. So I'm going to start over. I got to where the end, I didn't care. And I was just like, la, 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 la. So anyway, I'm going to start over.
okay, well, that first little bit I forgot to record, but most of it's gonna be up and
Okay,
as well too. Hopefully a little sooner than I got the last one out.
okay.
I just got so swamped at the end of the week in Gallup that I kept thinking, oh, I'll upload it while it's here, and then I didn't get a chance to. We got so busy, so
Mhm. Well, I
I
appreciate
apologize
it.
for that. But
Okay.
all right, well, we'll see you guys next week, and I'll send out a new photo and sketch too, closer to the end of the week, hopefully.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll see you guys next week.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.